Hello, welcome to Open Mic'd, a monthly open mic with a feature reader. This is done in partnership with Attack Bear Press and Holyoke Media. We'd like to thank Holyoke Media for being a generous host for this event. We'd also like to thank the Mass Cultural Council and Holyoke Local Cultural Council for their generous support of this event. This is the moment in the night when I pretend as though anyone has a choice of me reading a poem. Particularly tonight, no one has a choice. I'm going to read a poem. So this one is called Tecante Divide. I can no longer be the winds or the streams. I have to be planted in one place. I want to be the Tecante Divide, balancing the ocean and the desert, the earth and the sky. I want to be simple Mountain Tom, tap rock, basalt, with my head covered with fallen trees from still remembered storms. But I think that I'm still the rain, coming unwanted, then drifting away. Yay! So thank you all for coming tonight to Open Mic'd. Like I said before, Open Mic'd is a open mic with a feature. Today's featured reader is Mike Medeiros. Mike Medeiros joins us from the Western Mass. He is a poet and a potter living in Western Mass, and we'd like to bring him up. So thank you. Yay!
Hello, world. So, to this audience of vastness, I'm going to disappear right now and become an alter ego of sorts, reflecting my Portuguese heritage, my hometown of New Bedford, Massachusetts, for a project I'm doing there called Crystals of Guanine, which, as all of you probably talk about in your daily lives, moment to moment, ooh, guanine, how's it affecting us today? For those who don't know, it's the thing, it's a part of DNA. It's the thing that makes fish scales and bird feathers shiny. And it also composes the crystal mirrors at the back of every scallop eye. And if you don't know that, scallops have blue eyes. If you haven't been talking to me over the past year, knowing this is the only thing I talk about, there's these mirrors at the back of scallop eyes that reflect the light that comes into them onto these two retinas, one of which sees what's in front of the scallop, the other one sees on the sides of the scallop, allowing it to both jet away in its very scallopine jet magic of shooting water out the back of its shell, like most mollusks do not do. And so in my conceit for this project, I've created this poet, Altamira Soares, who in 1966, just like my Aunt Betty did, not that year, but nonetheless, won the Miss Scallop Festival contest. I have Altamira winning that contest, talking to a scientist who explains these mirrors, gets her super fascinated. In the midst of a horrific breakup with a scalloper, she writes this visionary series of poems. And later on in the novel, she's a ghost, but that hasn't happened yet. Anyway, I'm going to read a quick quote from the book that Michael Land, the guy who discovered these mirrors, writes about them. And then we're going to go into 7 poems that perhaps I wrote, but perhaps I just channeled this Altamira Soares, who probably I'll find out later on actually did exist and was inhabiting my skull for a good chunk of the year. Anyway, Michael F. Land, in his groundbreaking 1965 paper, Image Formation by a Concave Reflector in the Eye of the Scallop Pecten Maximus, writes, "The back of the eye is lined with the argentea, an accurately spherical, highly reflecting layer. It is this layer that gives the pupil of the eye its bright, iridescent appearance. The only way in which the image observed by Patton could be produced is by reflection at the argentea. Also, since the argentea is itself visible through the pupil, the focal length of the lens must be greater than the distance from the back of the eye. The optical system of the scallop eye must therefore be a combination of a concave mirror and a lens of long focal length. Weird. Anyway, here's a poem called Crystals of Guanine, written by Altamira Soares, who is also me. Remind the moon of its savior tendencies, a flashlight in this haunted fish tank staring down, milking up the waves and bright into the blue scallop eyes staring back hundredfold from the lips of open shells. An arrangement of platelets in the back of each eye, shards of iridescence and guanine glow mirroring from the back rounding of each of the million eyes, returning blued light to the moon's dust skin. Same as the full moon makes the sun in slanted effort work steady through the off hours. All the correlated spells, all those creepy moments of night dissipated by communion in the salt marsh banks where the fresh water mixes with the sea. Reinventing all your plots and plans among the eelgrass and muck, the blue eyes staring moonwards, and the blue moon glowing down, drifting there in the buoyancy, floating face up, and the things below touching. Thanks, Cry. I love the fact that this entirety of this space is blue. It's like we're in like a big scallop eye right now, just reading poems to the sea. This one's called Facet Cut from the Small Blue Eyes. Even the most beautiful gets shucked, husked for the innards, the treasure scooped and sold, the rest slid out to fill a bucket, to later fertilize the dirt for flowers and kale, soft nutrients furrowed in for reabsorption. The shells crushed to pave a driveway or fill a concrete seawall. All those blue eyes blinded. I'll find a way to freeze them, gem them and set them in rings and bracelets and yellow gold necklaces, stones for the scollopers' wives, little blue pearls or faceted crystal cuts. One more piece of pluck for preservation and prospered pride. This one more thing I have and you don't. Yeah, poem. That's about making gems out of scallop eyes as we welcome in. Welcome into the seafood gemstone market. All right, this one's called Navigate a Cloistered Space. We're only doing the scallop poems tonight, just to let you all know. Yeah. Yep, nothing else. I hope you have yours. Yeah, okay. You got the assignment.
They're not scallops, but yeah.
Whatever.
Butterflies, you know.
Butterflies are scallops that have wings instead of jet propulsion out of the back of their shell. Fireflies are even more scallop-like. Not at all. Navigate a cloistered space. I see the shadows of your feet. I saw the boat block out the sun. Collage to bring together disparate essence into one throbbing meld, a 300-degree view of a tidal plain, an eelgrass safety with an ocean surplus of interaction, pricked together at needlepoint in ganglion assembly. Tight-woven comprehension of all you can possibly see from a certain arc of perspective. Every pebble that composes a shoreline, the mixed plastic and glass, the rotting and the ripe, the effluent water falling in from a round height. I can almost taste the salt stinging my blue eyes clear. I can still taste the difference between my skin and yours, so much further off from each these days. That's the other poem. It's like we got this little soundtrack in the background. I think it's a haunted thing. I think it's Altamira's ghost coming in with her little like 1960s Walkman boombox kind of thing. That little like transistor radio, not Walkman. Yep. I got the AM soft rock kicking on as she writes sad poems and is crying into the beach sand, creating these quicksand places where children will fall in and die. It's going to be sad. There's so many layers to the Scallopine Poems series. Welcome to the Funhouse. Dead Kid Sand Crying, the new collection by Altamira Soares. Followed up by I hit your dog and I hit it in the shed out back. Sorry. This is a serious poem. I'm not laughing. What the hell? I grow the lemongrass up here in square gray flower pots that line the four corners of the Widow's Walk, and pick the eelgrass fresh at Town Beach, just where the salt marsh waters ease into the last stretch before the ocean current takes hold. A salted tea steeping, lemongrass and seagrass drunk on the roof, looking down on the bay, seeing nothing of interest while you're out there. I must drink 6 cups a day, morning and afternoon, and if awake, at the last of the late civil twilight, when if it's clear, the water is a dark violet like the bruise on my arm from where I moved the bureau by myself. In the summer, that time of night is a comfortable cool, and even in early autumn it gets too much to be up here if not for the hot tea. The steam plumes from the cup like eelgrass waving. A friend calls it dirty leaf water, and I like that. I watch the boats come in through the dike with my grandmother's opera glasses. Binoculars would work better, but I'm attached to them. Short stalks of bubbled glass, copper, and soft-worn leather where my fingers grip on. The lemongrass in the pots blows around like the eelgrass in the seawater and hisses with the wind, and nobody I care even the least about has come back for days. Tuck away what you want to keep. The light darkens and we close up shop. Pull in all the things tender that the teeth rend. Your movement and we flee. Propulsed to safer sands is the hope. We tell the same stories, sunburned into stacked retinas as photo proof for repetition. Fight or flight to our muscled core. But never much fight here really. Just a shivering in a shell waiting you out so we can putter again in peace. This is the long one. This was the fun one, like workshopping with Bianca Stone last semester. Yeah, a lot of poeming. When the dike fails. When the dike fails, starfish will suck on to the submerged brick ruins of textile mills. They hunt scallops and pry open their shells for the mussel inside. Everyone's swallowed up by the waves unless they learn buoyancy, steal a boat, or otherwise make it to a shore of some sort. Under the waters, the trees wave like seaweed as they wither. They wither the way slugs, salted in the gardens, do. I miss the residue scrubbed away by the currents. City walls now green with algae instead of with human scum. Some days you can watch the dye sludge seep up from the mill basements. Quiet water fireworks. I saw one that reminded me of fall chrysanthemums blooming in stop motion as the colors hit the calmed surface of the bay. People from all around come to see the sunken wreckage, flyovers and chartered cruises, a railinged viewing deck children fall off of. On clear days, you see clear to the cobbled streets. Kelp and eelgrass root in the gaps between granite stones. Whole schools of fish linger. Both of us live now on the island that survived the swell. We ignore everyone who waves and shoot holes in the hulls of those who slow to dock. Spearfish eels for dinner. We turn off the lighthouse light and go to bed. The bed is in a cabin we built with bricks floated up from the broken mills at the bottom of the bay. Dense burnt terracotta elevators that rode up on the lift of bubble rings blown by humpback whales. They use the rings to encircle and disorient schools of fish before they swallow them whole. As the bricks rose up, we fished them in before they fell again to the ocean floor, laid them like masons do, like my grandfather did, stacked them for solitude and safety, for inner warmth. From then on, listening nightly to the whales singing. The songs they sing to each other lull us to sleep. I think this is it. I think we've reached the part of the book where the words end and just paper is there, and there's nothing on the paper, so we can draw. Yeah. Okay, so we'll read one poem and we'll draw. Awaited. This is the weird one. Bowerbirds don't hang out with scallops, but I like the fact that those bowerbirds pluck blue things. And if they were near the scallops, perhaps they would be plucking the little fucking eyes right out of their poor little shells before they could do a damn thing about it. Well, I just ruined the romance of this poem. Awaited. A bowerbird on the shoreline, in the salt marsh, beak in the eelgrass, plucks scallop eyes from the tentacled inners of scallop shells. one by one arranging them in a new order, hung like stars in a nested firmament. The blues grow over days, somehow not fading, not decaying, holding their own in their brilliant car paint blue, the blue paint blue of a bicycle my father had, similar to the lapis lazuli chunks on the wall mounts at the Amherst College Museum, still to remember, not fading, not faltering in their blueness as the arrangement continues. Hordes of scallops losing an eye or several for this bowerbird's ornamentation, his starscape, his new incrustation of sex prowess, peacock to the world, unfurling and growing, mounding in full blue brilliance, and another bird walks in and sees and stays, and blue eyes unblinking that surround and soothe them, testimony to courtship and futures, these blue eyes in stacks and sutures and unimaginable till now patternings, these blue eyes unblinking always seem as though they should. And now it's coloring time. Thanks all. Take my pencil.
And a big thank you, whoa, got shocked, to our feature reader tonight, Mike Medeiros. We're going to do something special and invite anyone up who has a burning desire to read a poem to come on up to the stage and read us a poem. So if anyone has a burning desire.
Who you?
Yeah, so I don't know, how strict is that one poem limit?
No, it could be as many poems as you want.
Well, because I think I got about 4 with me that I wouldn't mind reading. Yeah, well, you know, the phone too, more literally, certain kinds of power. And then also might have the better poems, we'll find out. All right, this one is also about animals and eyes, so we'll start with that. Spring's latch unclasped for me just now. Always what, never when. So much when you look for it. As much what, because the when is always partly now by virtue of poetic necessity. A pink blossom from a tree which once was Y-shaped, then lost a limb and now rests there, altar to space. Almost a face if you look with human eyes. Hard to say if those fleck-light birds agree, but I can see it works for them now as a place to meet and rest, much like my eyes rest on your face. So maybe it's home for them too, like you. Thank you. This is an invocation to the muse. Dear Muse, I am incapable. Dead move among this drying spring. My face does not return. This raft is frayed, but my hand is yours. If you move it, I will start. A distant ocean waits, prime, pocked with thunder. All right, we're going to do these next ones. These 2 poems. One I just did a new round of edits on, so we'll start with that. And then we'll go to another letter, and that'll be the end. Fire flies behind my dad. Owl City tells us we receive 1,000 hugs from 10,000 lightning bugs. Ergo, 1 hug from a lightning bug is 1/10 of a human hug. Or of 10,000 lightning bugs, 9,000 do not wish to hug. Like the one in the jar with the grass in it, holes punched in a thin metal lid, the little thing glowing inside. I remember you telling me with wonder, that's a firefly. I remember you walking with me through summer evening air, my feet on yours, waiting for a nearby light to flash. I remember you telling me, I can understand why cops beat protesters. The rioters will burn it all except their parents' basements. I miss who I thought you were. I remember you as another celestial body, the sun with light, the moon with mystery, and you with anger sometimes. I remember you saying loudly, "It's not like I'm gonna hit you," at the restaurant when you tried to hug me. I flinched. I don't know what you are. I miss who I thought you were, and I loved you. I swear I did. Thank you. Final poem. Letter to Frank O'Hara from Jade Gaynor. Dear Frank, love your portrait, the naked one in boots, and what's been made of you, your poems in which you live so humanly through phrasing sweet and fine and clear. You're a special, different closeness. Just the other day, a man borrowed your book from me to read out loud. I took it back with me to Grace's stoop to speak you back for, well, you know, don't you? I read you to her, lying in an open bed, and we lay naked with you, just thinking together, our idle hands full of flesh and wonder. I wonder, would you like where you have gone? Contentious family tugging at your coattails, sure, but you're in the groundwater. You're omnipresent in your particular way. When I went to the poem store, everyone knew you. When I asked 5 poets who to read, you came up. Today, I sat in a park on a bench, listening to traffic while I read, and your hand never left my face. If Jesus and perichoresis broke up, you could step in. I think I'd be so happy to have the life you have now, here at times only for poets, not a one of us tying you down, your vague blue eyes gone free and dancing where they will, drifting as they wish. Is that what it's like? Maybe instead you're a perfect, deep sleep nothing, oblivious to how good it feels for us to roll your words with our tongues. Envious thing that I am, I could begrudge you that too, but I have a feeling, or maybe a hope, that it's a bit of a choreographed dance between both, a changing thing to keep unfaithful hearts compelled. It's funny, I can't imagine anything forever without it turning into hell. Suppose I'll find out one day. I wish to go so much further with you, but for now, I might be ill and there are groceries. Naked in the sun with wine and all the best, Jade.
Well, that was another open mic. We still have space available if people wish to read. You can come right up. If not, we will be closing out the evening. Normally, I only read one poem, but since we've got time, I'm going to read another one. Because why the heck not? I have the microphone. Did Fred get dinner? Yes, the dog did get dinner. That is a great poem. The dog did get dinner is a great poem. Actually, this one's called Insecure. Someone once told me I was culturally insecure. I think about it a lot. In the valley, among familiar sights, smells, and sounds of home, I feel like an outsider, an empty bowl rushing to fill before leaving. In the wider world, I search corners, cracks, and seams for the flashing glints from the eyes of people like me. Those who don't feel safe above sea level, away from the scent of burning cow dung. Those who don't feel secure in a world where you can't see for miles in any direction. I need only the limits to be the crowns of the mountains on the horizon. I need to hear the campesino's boots clicking on the street to know it's safe to walk without falling through the crust of the world. Without the gaze of white-haired aunties to peel away my posturing and leave me naked, I shed my skin like a snake. I husk my face like corn. Without the sound of peacocks, burrowing owls, and bats at sunset, my voice carries too far and says things I don't mean. I know deep down it's not what they meant. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming to Open Mic'd. Open Mic'd is a monthly feature, which now is actually on the third Saturday of every month. We have solidified a day, so you no longer just have to watch our social media to pick a time. But we are brought to you by a generous grant from Mass Cultural Council and the Holyoke Local Cultural Council, and we are here in partnership with Holyoke Media, who records this event, and then they broadcast it out to the world so you can see and hear all kinds of great poems by going to the Holyoke Media YouTube page or the Attack Bear Press website. You can find all of the great features and poets. So with that said, good night, everybody. Yay!